So if you know, write it down or keep it in your mind, what Tesla major milestone happened on November 3rd, 2021. You got it in your head? You got it in your head? Well, in a minute, we'll get to it. This is Randy Kirk. If you think you're going to like this content, you hit like now. If you don't know whether you're going to like the content or not, hit like later. One way or the other, I'd love for you to hit like and then subscribe. And then, of course, you want to hit the notify button because later today, I do probably my most popular program of the week. On Sunday night, I take a look at the financial layout for the future week. What's happening in terms of reporting by the Fed or others, by the government, other kinds of reports that are coming out. What are the expectations for those reports? How might they affect markets? How might they affect Tesla? I look at what's happening with Tesla for the week ahead. What do I think is going to happen? What do you think? What announcements might impact the stock? Where do I think the stock is going to go just in general? Et cetera, et cetera. So it's all about the kind of a week in advance review in great detail. Nobody else does this, just me. And that's every Sunday night. So hit notify if you'd like to be notified about that. And of course, love to have you participate in Patreon. Just go down below. It's free for 7 days to see if you like it. And then if you like it, it might be worth $5 a month to you. So look for the information below for that. Okay. All right. What happened on November 3rd? Well, on November 3rd of 2021, Tesla hit $404 a share for the all-time high. All right, did you get it right? Let me know in the comments below if you got it right. Are you going to tell me in the comments below if you got it wrong or if you had no clue? All right, so my little analysis here is, this is a little crazy, all right? But I'm going to say that all the conditions are going to be present on November 3rd of 2023 for Tesla to hit 808, or double the all-time high. Are you with me? Are you ready? Are you ready for this ride? Well, let's start with the fact that sales and profits on November 3rd, 2023 will have doubled compared to November 3, 2021. Therefore, one can surmise that there's a potential for Tesla to be at 808 coming this November. I mean, of course, the stock market isn't 100% based on the profits. You've seen that in the last year when Tesla's profits continued up and the stock went from 404 down to 101. So it's not 100% based on profits, or you would have seen Tesla continue up. Well, it's based on a whole lot of things. And one of those things was we did have an overheated bull market with a huge risk-on attitude, and Tesla was executing above expectations at every turn. In other words, their mojo was really, really in place, and they had been hitting the numbers that everybody thought they would hit or beating them. So that was going on, and so their narrative was really in place. Well, would it be crazy to think by this November that same market exuberance combined with Tesla's execution on Cybertruck and the Mexico factory, not to mention Sexy and the new Highland and Megapacks, and all of those things might set the market up for another run at that same kind of valuation compared to profits and future potential. And you notice I didn't even mention in there anything about robotaxis or about the Optimus, because if Robotaxi or Optimus happens between now and November 3rd, the stock will be way above 808. So, all right, so let me be clear about one thing. I am not changing my call. I am not saying that Tesla will be at 808 in November of 2023, but I'm continuing to call for 700 by the end of next year, unless Robotaxi and or Optimus happen between now and then. But am I such an uber bull? Everybody says I'm an uber bull when Tesla's sales next November will be 3 times as high as November 3, 2021. The profits by the end of 2024 will be on their order of 4 times as high. In other words, it should be 1,600 by the end of 24. That would be reasonable. And yet I'm only calling for 700. And I think 1,600 would be very reasonable. But let's take an honest analysis of the potential for the 808 November. There are 4 major reasons we got to 404 in November, to $404 in November of 2021. The company fundamentals were on fire. The narrative was intact. The company was printing money, and it hit or exceeded all the street's expectation, and there was talk of the S&P inclusion. Fast forward 2 years, the narrative is back with nice numbers on existing products. Hidden fortunes in energy storage that are still not understood are built into everybody's understanding, and a capitulation by almost all of the so-called competitors. The institutions are also now piling in. See my video from Saturday afternoon. All right. Well, number two, that was number one. Number two, the retailers were buying. Folks like you and me, the exuberance that comes from retail investors was so hot you could feel it. Well, I'd argue that the retailers are still in place, with Tesla having the largest retail base of any company. And those are growing as more and more people buy Tesla cars. The retail crowd is all about Optimus right now, too. And I suggest that the Optimus news by this November will be huge. I'm, of course, have called that maybe by the Q3 earnings or by the AI day that they will actually reveal Optimus and begin to take orders. I've said that. I still continue to say that. But it doesn't take that much. It could just be really showing Optimus doing some useful tasks, and we could see a fairly substantial response, which would be kind of like the S&P thing that was happening back in 21. Number three, the bull market was roaring in 2021, and the risk on was a big factor in what happened with Tesla stock. I've said for at least 4 months now that Tesla needs a bull market with risk on in order to get back to all-time highs. I've repeated that, 20 times. Well, the bull is back, and AI is now guiding the risk portion. Tesla is quickly becoming known as a tech company, which is true and very important. So if the Fed says the magic words, no more hikes, between now and November, the market will go nuts and Tesla will be right at the crest of the wave. Well, fourth and finally, we need a really great quarter with great guidance. So by November 3, we will have quarter 3 on the books. Most pundits are saying that the margins will be increasing by then. We'll have another book of selling almost all the cars that Tesla can make. The narrative will be in place. We will have the information on the Cybertruck's initial deployment, including reviews and all that, which would be like having the Model Y having been introduced and reviews coming in. So, but let me repeat, all of that's going to be true. But this is not my call for November. I'm merely pointing out that if 404 can happen in the circumstances as they were in November, on November 3 of 2021, then doubling is a logical extrapolation of the situation. It is a normal way of looking back at history and making a decision about the future. I will say that I think the valuation would be fair and reasonable if all those 4 things are in place. And that does not include Robotaxi or Optimus. It doesn't even include FSD being level 5. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. A true Uber bull would go ahead and make the call. But I'm actually calling for half of that and not until January. So I guess I'm not such an Uber bull after all. But maybe I'll increase my prediction as we get closer to that date when we see what's really going on with the bull market, because that'll be a very, very important component. Now, not sure if you saw my video yesterday. It was a huge hit. It was just the afternoon news, but I discussed the impact of the Cybertruck being out, and there was more news on the inflation front, so check the card above. I also did a video last night where I answered the question, why did Elon make X.ai a separate company? And a lot of other questions that you guys have been posing. There's the card for that one. This afternoon, I'm only promising my regular episode coming later today. I call that episode Monday morning because it's talking about the financial markets as of Monday morning. And in that episode, I lay out the week that's coming up. I just explained that. This one will be a doozy because it's earnings week. So you want to watch that tomorrow night. And I've also lined up a bunch of great guests who will be discussing both pre and post earnings, the implications of earnings. Larry Goldberg, Brian Wong, Jeff Lutz, and there will be more all coming on board during the week to talk about it and help all of us have a better understanding of what just took place. So hit subscribe, hit notify if you want to be kept aware of all of that. And then Patreon, Come on, guys, let's get on Patreon. I do believe that one of those beeps you might have heard was somebody saying yes to Patreon. I looked up and I noticed it was a little sign said Patreon. So maybe that was. Thank you very much for everybody that's already on board. I think we've just passed 70, shooting for 100 by the end of the month, and hitting 100 in 8 months. I think that's reasonable. I think that's good. All right. So with all of that said, it's true. I've really enjoyed talking to you.